cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. Now understand, when you see the pictures, these depictions of the tabernacle, and look at the sky, those are the colors. Those colors, the purple, the scarlet, the blue, the colors that it talks about represents the colors of space, the colors of the sky. And when you couple that with the fact that we're talking about stars being the cherubims, it's telling you clear as day that the Ark of the Covenant represents the sky, it represents the zodiac, plain and simple. That's what it represents. The reason why they won is because they followed the zodiac, and that's the key it's giving you. So you had the Hebrews walk around, as I said, they won all their battles, they fought, as long as they followed the zodiac, as long as they followed God's commandments, which were in the Ark of the Covenant. And as long as they had the Ark of the Covenant, they won. They won the wars. So here's what you got to think about. You have the Hebrews fighting, winning these wars, right? Let's go back real quick and think. You had the very first commandment, as I said, do not worship any gods before me. Moses broke the tablets when he found them doing that. So they will not get punished. There won't be no repercussions or anything as long as you're following those commandments, right? So it's showing you that it was so important for them not to break the first commandment, right? So, or any commandments, any laws of God. So if Moses was so pissed that they broke a commandment, came down there, they broke a commandment, that he broke the tablets that God wrote on. Think about that. That's trying to really emphasize how important it is not to break that one, but don't break any laws of God. So they were winning because they wasn't breaking any laws. So think about it. They're going around, they're winning all these wars, right? What are the other commandments that's on the tablet? Don't kill, don't steal. If you follow my Bible series, you understand exactly what they were doing. They were going out with the Ark of the Covenant, breaking every single law on the Ark except for the first law. Remember, they had the Ark, they was going into civilizations, they was killing those people, murdering kids, and taking everything they had and dividing it up amongst each other. So they were breaking God's commandments, but why didn't they get punished? Because they were doing it under universal law. Plain and simple. They were doing it while carrying the Ark of the Covenant, which the Ark of the Covenant represents the zodiac, which represents the power they were under during that time. And you can use that power to do good or evil as long as you do so under that power, which is under universal law. How is it they killing and murdering kids? You see how it makes sense now? Because they were under universal law. I told you guys before, there's universal law and there's man's law. A lion can go out and kill a baby buffalo right in front of his mom. It's not going to be no police that's going to come and arrest that lion. That's nature, we say, but that's universal law. They're going out and killing and murdering, and we saying they're doing so in the name of God. They're doing so because God said they could do so. God is the zodiac. God is universal law, and all things are possible under universal law as long as you abide by those laws. So because they had the zodiac or the Ark of the Covenant, they were able to go out and do what they were doing and conquer and win those wars because they were following universal law. Remember, every time they got punished, every time they got conquered or killed, what did they do? It was because they was worshiping other gods. Every time. It wasn't because they was killing. It wasn't because they were stealing. It was because they were worshiping other gods. Whenever God came down there or sent somebody to conquer them or what have you, it's because they were worshiping other gods, breaking that first commandment, which is using things outside of your power, the energy that's provided for you, worshiping other gods. So think about it. All the other people that they was going out and killing in the Bible was because what? They was worshiping other gods. And they were able to beat them because they wasn't using the power that was available to them during that time because either they didn't have the knowledge of it or because they was worshiping the wrong energy at the wrong time or tapping into the wrong energy at the wrong time for whatever reason. But it's giving you that understanding that that is what it was. You got to go back and think about, wow, why people would want to worship something just, out of the blue. Like, we need to worship something now. Give us something. And, we're trying to start a civilization here. We need to understand what power is available to us. Who's the God that's available? Who's the God that's here? Who's the God that's in our house that we can draw this energy from? And he gave him Taurus, but he was wrong. It was Aries. But it's just, as I said, a hint to telling you what this is all about. So another story, Constantine. And this is the same story that they're trying to give you with the inception of Christianity. We're talking about before the inception of Judaism, beginning with this story in Exodus that's trying to give you the zodiac and tell you that the power is in the zodiac and God is the zodiac when you try to understand. So you have Constantine, remember, broke this whole thing down in my ancient history series. Constantine, who was a pagan, who basically, nothing wrong with being pagan, by the way, he basically said that, he went to sleep. Jesus came to him and told him to use this sign to basically win the battle. So he had a battle for who was going to be leading Rome, and it was between him and I think it was Antipater. So he put that sign on the shield of his army, and they won the battle of Milvian Bridge because he put that sign that Jesus told him to put on his shield. And you guys know this is the sign that he put on there. So you got to understand, one, this is an ancient pagan symbol, plain and simple, that represents the zodiac. That's what it's about. It's the zodiac. Now it says here, it's the Chiro. So I'm going to go there. It says, before it became the monogram of Christ, the Chiro was the monogram of Kronos, the god of time, and an emblem for several solar deities. Chiro is also the origin of the tradition of abbreviating Christ and Christian and Christmas to X. The small letter and the image are the Alpha and Omega. So we know God is the sun. Plain and simple, one of the powers, the main power of the zodiac. We have the disciples of Jesus represented by the 12 signs of the zodiac. Power is talking about all of this astrology, as they've been saying to us for a long time. But a lot of people understood, but we didn't see or we didn't know that these things correspond to real, actual things and events, as I'm going to get into. And that, this is real stuff right here. And when you understand how they correspond with major events and things that happen in our history, you'll understand. But it's talking about, the zodiac. And it's giving you so many different clues in the Bible that God is the zodiac, that God is the sun, and so on and so forth, and that the power is in that zodiac. So we look here. This is Psalms 19, 5 through 11. It bursts forth like a radiant bridegroom after his wedding. It rejoices like a great athlete eager to run the race. The sun rises at one end of the heavens and follows its course to the other end. Nothing can hide from its heat. The instructions of the Lord are perfect, reviving the soul. The decrees of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The commandments of the Lord are right, bringing joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are clear, giving insight for living. Reverence for the Lord is pure, lasting forever. The laws of the Lord are true. Each one is fair. They are more desirable than gold, even the finest gold. They are sweeter than honey, even honey dripping from the comb. They are a warning to your servant, a great reward for those who obey them. Job 38, 31 to 32, it says, can't thou bind? And this is when he's talking to Job, basically cussing him out, saying, can you do this? So it says, can't thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades? That's a star system. Or loose the bands of Orion, a star system. Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? And Mazzaroth is the zodiac. Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Which Arcturus is this. If you go to the ESV version, it says Mazzaroth, and it says in their seasons. Or can you guide the bear with its children? What is it talking about? It's talking about Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, which are the bear constellations. Plain and simple. These are all constellations it's talking about. If it's God that's doing these things, it's talking about God in the zodiac, not God, this being. And it's giving you astrology, giving you the hint that this is the power, this is what it's talking about. So we see all throughout the Bible references to constellations, references to stars, planets, so on and so forth. Saturn is in the Bible. You see the Pleiades is in the Bible. It's talking about Orion in the Bible. It's talking about the sun and the moon. Everything is in there pointing you to astrology. Stuff that you guys understand by now, but it's important to understand what it's going to couple with that I'm going to show you guys in this video. So, as I said, each planet has different powers, different aspects. And you guys who read horoscopes and stuff like that understand that it's giving you a lot of times what your day is going to be like based upon those planets and the power that it's putting out, the energy that it represents. And there's so many other things that come into play: degrees, position, so on and so forth, the sun, the direction that it's in. There's a lot of stuff that comes into play. It's not easy to just read it based upon what somebody wrote, online. It's a lot of other things that come into play that will determine how those energies will affect you. And if you understand this stuff and you know what energy is out there for you to tap into and how your day, year, whatever you're trying to do is going to go based upon those things. So I want to give you, as you can see floating through the screen here, the different planets and what they represent, but I want to trigger on a few of them that I'm going to read real quick that is very important that we all need to understand. And that is Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto. These planets are very important. Start with Mars. So it's a planet of action, sexual drive, aggression, raw energy, losing your shit on the next person who triggers you. Naturally rules Aries, as we know. So, wild and fiery, Mars, named after the god of war, is determined, driven, and full of raw, unbridled, animalistic energy. Mars represents how we might fight and assert ourselves, explains McGarry to Bustle. The so-called red planet certainly lives up to its name with its red hot intensity and passion. And you may have heard men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? Well, we actually all have a nice balance of both. So while sexy romance is Venus territory, Mars rules over our more animalistic sexual drive and desire. Venus is the butterflies in our stomach and emotions, while Mars is the primal physical instinct. Jupiter, planet of good luck, abundance, optimism, expansiveness. That's important. Everything coming up roses and then some. Naturally rules Sagittarius. Love us some Jupiter, as the saying goes. The bigger the hair, the closer to God. And in this case, the bigger the planet, the closer to sweet, sweet harmony. Jupiter is considered especially auspicious, bringing growth, positivity, opportunity, and good vibes along with its massive presence. Jupiter, the greater benefic, represents luck, growth, travel, philosophy, education, teaching, and expansion. Stardust tells Bustle this big boy is a spreader of positive and good cheer, so embrace Jupiter's peachy vibes whenever possible. Saturn, Capricorn, its function, discipline, and commitment. Saturn is the solar system's taskmaster, known for sending major challenges your way, but for your own good, of course. Your Saturn return is to blame for your quarter life crisis. And we know Saturn's supposed to be Satan. They blame Satan for everything. But whenever you're feeling particularly put out by a hard situation, it's usually Saturn's doing, forcing you to work through the tough stuff to become a better person. Uranus, planet of originality, awakening, progressiveness, revelations. Letting your freak flag fly while marching to the beat of your own drum. Naturally rules Aquarius. That be me. Expect the unexpected with Uranus, as this planet is all about shaking up the norms. Remember this. This progressive, forward-thinking, hyper-creative, but also prone to abrupt shift and changes, Uranus is considered the Great Awakener, as it shakes up the world through revolutions, technological and innovative on a global level. Stardust tells Bustle Uranus doesn't care about tradition for the sake of nostalgia. It cares about being innovative, fresh, and unique. In fact, this planet is sometimes likened to a lightning bolt, giving the way it shocks us with sudden insights and inspirations. Pluto, planet of transformations, the underworld, the subconscious mind, power, hella deep, intense shit, basically. Naturally rules Scorpio. Pluto may have been robbed of its planethood by scientists back in 2006 for a reason. A harsh move indeed, especially to the planet named after the ruler of the underworld. But in astrology, Pluto is as planet as can be. As McGraw tells Bustle, Pluto encompasses the energy of transformation. Transformation covers a lot of ground. Think the energy of light and darkness, death and rebirth, day and night, endings into beginnings. As Anwell says in the Valley of the Dolls, you've got to climb Mount Everest to reach the Valley of the Dolls. And if the Valley of the Dolls is your inner truth, then yeah, prepare for the exhausting and treacherous but transformative battle that Pluto insists upon, because it's definitely for the ultimate good. So now understand, these planets, as I said, have different energies that they put out. And it's going to make a lot more sense as we go when I really get into how we can show these planets do exactly what they say they do. And it's not no bullshit. So you got to understand, you have different aspects of these planets, and you guys who are into astrology understand about the conjunction and the opposing of planets. So you have planets that are in opposition, you have planets that are in conjunction, and whether a planet is in conjunction or opposition or retrograde and so on and so forth will determine how that power of those planets are basically amplifying that house, or basically contracting from that house.